Hello world, Lisa Friedrichsen, Johnson County Community College. We're going to continue debriefing on the in-chapter exercise for Chapter 3 of our JavaScript book, which creates this table. To understand the next few functions, it does help if we examine our table rows in our HTML. And now we're going to be filling in the content in these table rows. And so what I want you to notice is in the table row, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sets of TD tags for each row. And you would expect that because there's 7 days of the week. So there's 7 sets of TD tags for each row. And notice that except for the first one in our first row, which is given a class of different month, the rest of them have unique IDs. This one is ID'd 08-1, 08-2, 08-3. Those IDs then correspond to the days of the month. And so we're going to put in this 1 through 31 through JavaScript. In my opinion, I probably would not create JavaScript to put the numbers into the calendar. I'd simply put the numbers right here in the paragraphs themselves rather than using JavaScript to write to the inner HTML property of these first paragraphs in each table data cell. However, we're learning JavaScript, so the author does add that content through JavaScript. So what I'm wanting you to notice is the ID for each table data cell and the fact that each table data cell has 2 paragraphs. And we're going to talk to those paragraphs individually with our JavaScript. And here's how. So function add calendar dates is interesting because we're declaring a local variable I, we're setting it equal to 1. As long as we're inside the function, we can use that same variable name in all of our functions if we want. I is a very common counter variable. Sometimes if we have 2 counters, we'll use I and J just because they're nice and short. You can name your counter variable anything you want, but I is very, very common. We're also declaring another local variable called paragraphs, and we're setting it equal to an empty string. Then we're doing this do while loop. The do while loop is interesting in that the test for repeating the code is not until the end of the control structure. So with do while, you know that all the statements inside the do loop are going to be run at least once because the test to repeat them is not until the very end. As compared to the while loop, the test is right up front. So if you don't pass that test in the while loop, you wouldn't run these statements at all. In the do while loop, you're going to run the statements and then make the test. And what do these statements do? They declare a local variable inside the do loop called table cell that we're setting to document get element singular by ID 08- plus whatever I is. At this point it's 1. So table cell is equal to document.getElement by ID, whatever is ID'd 08-1. And we know that that's that second cell in our first row. It's this cell right here. Then paragraphs is set to that cell's, this business, get elements by tag name P. So paragraphs is the tag name P for this particular cell. So paragraphs are these guys. Then paragraphs position 0 is the first paragraph. Paragraphs position 0 is the first paragraph, and we're setting its inner HTML property to I, which is 1. Then we're incrementing 1 and doing it all again. And we're doing this all until I is less than or equal to 31. Once I hits 32, we stop this loop. So this function is adding 1 through 31 to this table, which is a long JavaScript way of adding that content to the table. But it does take you through the do while loop, and it also helps you see how getElementsByTagName works. When we want to get a specific tag name, we have to reference its location. And the first paragraph is going to be numbered in JavaScript with 0, just as the first item in our array is numbered with 0. One final thing I want to tell you about the arrays are that you can break them on different lines after the comma, which separates each array value. But for your JavaScript statements in general, it's much easier to see them if you put the entire statement on one line. If you break that statement in a way that JavaScript doesn't allow, you've broken your code. So for most times, I want you to put the entire statement on one line. This is just one statement, but it is okay to break a JavaScript statement after an equal sign after an assignment statement, or after a comma in your array list. Thank you.